J.Mike. My first inspiration in music were my parents. They were singing in the choir at Crenshaw Christian Center and St. John Church of God in Christ in Los Angeles, and at Walnut Faith Center in Pomona. Hearing all of that worship and gospel around the house, we went to just about every single rehearsal there was as kids growing up. And so that was my first inspiration. Shortly after that, I would probably say my Uncle Howard McQuarrie, Grammy-nominated musician, pianist. Seeing him play was probably my first time seeing a secular artist play live. And I saw him play at this place called At My Place, I think it was called, in Santa Monica. And I still remember the suit I wore. I was like 13, and I said, this is what I want to do with my life. Yeah. The most important influence, I don't know if I can break it down to one person or one thing, but I believe some of the most important would also, of course, be my godfather, Howard McQuarrie, seeing his band and seeing him sing and play. Then also I got a hold of a Miles Davis record when I was 14. Listening to that type of music in my home was not really something that we were allowed to do, but hearing those sounds and that music really influenced me. I think in a personal way, just seeing the musicians at church, play, and how they can direct a whole service and they can change the mood of a service and change the mood of people that were in attendance. I think that was very influential in seeing the power of music. If I can name 3 recordings of my own that I'm the most proud of. Oh, wow. These questions are blowing me away. All right. I am very proud of my single Vultures that's out, and I'm re-releasing that coming up, so hold tight for that. And then I'm very proud of Fireworks, which is my second single that I'm releasing next month as well. And I'm very proud of both of those. I think if there was something else, a couple of other things that I've done, like I've done some movie stuff, some scores, some independent films. One of them was an independent film based loosely on Frank Sinatra's life with Ava Gardner. And I got a chance to work with some really good musicians and good songwriters. Another project is the project that just came out. I'm really proud of the score for a movie that just came out on BET Plus. It's called Fruits of the Heart. Just released about a week ago or 2 weeks ago. And I'm proud of the score. Good work. My buddy Sean Barrett, shout out to my boy. And I'm proud of that work. The greatest challenge of my career. I think the greatest challenge of my career is probably something that all musicians and all creatives have to deal with. And I think that challenge would probably be the balance of being a creative and having a family, and knowing how to be there for your kids and at the same time take care of what you believe God put you on earth to be. And that balance is something that all men and women have to do. They have to figure it out. And sometimes it's like creative and the kids are down here, and then sometimes you're like kids here and the creative's down here. So it's like one of those things. The balance is just, it's incredible. But it's a contest. You like trying to find that balance, trying to find how to, when do you find that groove when you're like, all things are like working together. And you never really feel like you were like there. It may be a moment, and then all of a sudden it's like, ooh, where are we going? So I think the biggest challenge is learning the balance. And then sometimes when your mentors that have taught you and the people you look up to, sometimes you're finding out that you're more mature than they are in some areas. I think that's a big challenge for me. It has been a big challenge for me when some of my mentors didn't necessarily value family as much as I have. And so it's kind of a letdown and disappointment. And I know that I've sacrificed and will continue to sacrifice for my family. But my music, I figure out ways to be creative. And so I think that's probably the most challenging thing for any creative. And I'm sure I've had my share of those challenges. What I do off stage that provides inspiration on stage. I think I find inspiration in nature. Like where I live, I'm able to take some nice walks. I'm able to, my conversations with you, my conversations with Kaylin, conversations with my wife, conversations with family. I'm also inspired, I read. I'm inspired by art, conversations, poetry. I'm also inspired by like a movie about someone's life and how they've, you know, made it and have done well. I think I'm inspired by that. I'm inspired by Kobe Bryant. You know, I'm inspired by my parents too, of course, because they came from nothing and they gave us everything, and they didn't necessarily have the people in front of them to show them how to do the things they were able to do for my brother and I. So I'm grateful for that. So I find inspiration in all those things. I hope that's a good answer, but I find inspiration in those things. I think when there's like a certain synergy in the band, we've had our practice times where when we get the sound check and we have that special something that's like, ooh, this show's about to be on fire. But I think sometimes we've been in some situations where the sound wasn't that great, but the energy on the stage was great. And then we could feel the audience feeling our energy. Oh, it's nothing like it. Yeah, we live for that. But I also have some venues I would love to play. For instance, I like the House of Blues San Diego. That was fun. House of Blues Orange County was fun too. One of the places that I would like to play and eventually would love to play would be the Bowl, the Hollywood Bowl. I would love to play the Hollywood Bowl. There's a couple other places in that same level I would love to play my music in, with a full, you know, maybe a 8-piece or 12-piece orchestra and the full band and singers. It would be really fun. So those are some things. I think any venue where we can get good sound and I can get my whole band in there, I'm with it. So call, brother. Whew. What needs to be done to bring more appreciation for jazz and classical music? Well, classical is a little bit outside of my my purview, but I can talk to you about jazz. I think one of the things that needs to happen with regard to greater appreciation for jazz and other genres that are associated with jazz, I think is like music education. I think if students are able to see what you can actually do with music, I think it'll create greater appreciation for it starting off in elementary school. I you know, just thinking back, the whole reason why I'm doing what I'm doing right now, the Pop Music Reimagine program, is I was teaching junior high and high school, and I was teaching my students in that Colton Unified School District about what you can do with jazz. And so what I did is I said, hey, there's a song called Summertime by George Gershwin. What if I put a hip hop beat behind it? Okay, what if I put a dope bass line behind it? Do you see what that does? And like, this is a jazz standard. And I changed the whole thing up. And so I think right there, my whole vision for getting young people to love this music, that this is their music and this music belongs to them and people like them are represented in this music. I think that's something that is so necessary for not only jazz, but other styles, so people understand the history of it and how this music belongs to them. And they can take this as a foundation and then grow and run. That's what we've done historically with the United States with music, is that someone created a foundation of something and then someone builds upon it. And I think that's something that I'm trying to do. And I'm just trying to inspire young people and folks my age, old heads, as you say. So I'm looking forward to like doing more of that and inspiring others with this music. And I think I'm working really hard at trying to have elements that grab young folks and then grab the old heads, as they say, or grab people who are just music lovers and people that may like pop music, but not necessarily a big jazz head, and people that are jazz heads that may like pop music and be like, hey, we find ourselves in the middle, and that's where I'm trying to be. What's the most important thing to impart to aspiring musicians? Okay. I I think the biggest thing to share with aspiring musicians or creatives, I think, is to know that you're going to hear no a lot, and to be okay with hearing no, and say, I'm going to keep going. I know this is what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm going to keep practicing. I'm going to keep learning. I'm going to get a mentor that can help guide me wherever I need to go. I think those are the most important things I can tell you, is don't take no for an answer. I've been told you're not good enough. I've been told, oh, that's weird. Oh, that doesn't make sense. I've heard all the things. And I think the thing is that all you gotta do is just kind of like outlive their lie. Because many times you don't know where they're coming from. Now, if someone says, hey man, that sounds kind of weird, but let me show you how to do this. Or let me show you how to do this, but I don't want to ruin your unique gifting, but let me show you how to kind of like find it. Let me show you what I did to get to where I am. Now, that's a totally different thing. But if you have someone that's saying, you know, you're not good enough. Now, if you're not practicing and you're not putting in the work, that's a totally different thing. But if you're putting in work, I'm talking about putting in serious work. When I was a younger guy and I had more time on my hands, it was nothing to get 6 and 8 hours of practicing the piano. Nothing, a day in the summer. And you come back to college like blazing in fall semester and playing all your new stuff. And then you gotta go back in December and blaze again, you know, and practice. I'm not talking about those kind of hours. But if you're putting in like an hour here and there and you're doing a whole bunch of talking, I'm not talking about that. But if you're doing some serious work and some serious dedication towards your craft, and someone says you're not good enough, then you say, okay, is there some merit to what they're saying? And if there's some merit to what they're saying, let me go back to the drawing board and fix it, or work on it, or ask someone else that you respect and say, hey, can you help me? Someone said this about this. Am I tripping? You know, it's always good to have an am I tripping person in your life who kind of says, you're tripping, or you okay? You know, it's a really good thing to have. So I think young people who are aspiring need to have an am I tripping person in their life, a real person, a real friend. And that person doesn't even have to necessarily be a friend, they can be a mentor, someone that's already there, that's already accomplished what you're trying to accomplish. But then at the same time, you have to put in the work. You have to put in the work, you have to find out what your audience is or who your audience is. And you gotta go for it. You can't be stopped. If it's something that you're supposed to do in this life, you can't be stopped. Only you can stop you.